Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another ranking. This is going to be ranking my Nomad Cosmetics palette. So I really love Nomad. I also get PR from them. I would say almost all of these, all but one of these I think I got sent to me in PR, which I'm very grateful for. I really love them. So I have a lot of palettes. I have so I have about 15 of these Nomad palettes. Really love them. I think they do such a really interesting job on color stories. Really like the formula. So let's see how this ranking compares to what it would have been like last year, because I think I've done a Nomad ranking before. So if you are new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a definite soft spot for indie makeup, i.e. Nomad Cosmetics, and high-end makeup, which is a lot of what's on my face. And I tend to take a pretty analytical approach to the content I make, be it, reviewing a new product, like trying the Eaze palettes that I just tried, or talking about things I know and love, like these Nomad palettes. And I have videos every week, especially right now. I have multiple a week, almost every day. So I'd really love to have you subscribe. Okay, so couple things before I do the ranking. If you are interested in my makeup, description box has everything. Really loving this lip combo. I said this in the last ranking. I'm filming 2 rankings today, just so I can I'm trying to do like 2 or 3 videos every day so that I can, get my content ready for December. So this is the Violet FR Bisou Balm, which is like a tinted matte balm tint, very sheer, with a little bit of my YSL Candy Glaze over it. This was pulling a little pink for the eye look and everything, so having like the more pinky red lip with the brown over it, I think is a really nice combo. Okay, so before I start, I like all of these. One of these is probably gonna get decluttered in my annual declutter, and I feel a little bad for that. It's just not something I grabbed for. Not that it's necessarily the worst thing, I've tried worse. I just don't ever grab for it. But I think I'm gonna keep most of these, and I really like all of these. So this is, I don't think they really have duds generally. So this is more about color story than anything else. This is purely on what color stories make me the happiest or I use the most often. Okay. So the first one, the one in last place, is going to be the Nomad Christmas palette. So this came out last Christmas, and I did do a video on it. And I don't think this is a bad palette, but I don't use it ever. So I love the artwork, and I think the color story is cute. So you've got a dark red, a bright red, a dark green, a gray, and then 2 more, a gray and a white. And then the interesting thing with this one is all of these are a more sheer iridescent kind of shadow. So they're not very good on the lid. I like these better as a highlighter, like a fun highlighter than anything else. So I just never grab for them. So this I think is gonna get decluttered. I don't know, maybe if they're magnetized, I'll pull them out and put them in this empty magnetic palette so that I have like the mattes or something, because they're good mattes. I just don't grab this very often, and it was pretty, I like the idea, it's just not something I use very often. Oh, also, like I said, I did get all of these, all but one, sent to me in PR. I am very grateful for that. I consider Nomad, the owners, friends. I talk to them all the time. I try to keep my opinions neutral about the palettes and be honest, like this, I just don't really love. It's fine, I just don't love it. So there's that. And then also I do have a code with Nomad. It's not affiliated, so I don't earn money. It's just bones. It'll save you 10%. So if you are buying this holiday season, I know they just had Black Friday, but if you're buying anything, make sure you use a code or something so that you can save some money, because never pay a full price for anything. Okay, so let's continue. The next palette is going to be the Paradise Islands palette. Love the artwork for this, and I have videos on all of these, literally all of them, I think. Maybe one I don't. I really like this palette. It's one of their really big palettes. I just don't grab for this that often because it's very colorful and very bright. I really love the green row. That's what I tend to grab. This is also one of the most pigmented teals I've ever used, but this middle row is really what I grab for. Some of these top shades like don't really show up. Like this one doesn't show up on my skin tone. This one's like okay. And that's why it's like bright. Some of these shades don't really work for me, but overall, I think it's a really beautiful color story, and it's one of those, like, if you like bright, almost neon shades, then I think it's worth it. For me, it's not something I'm gonna grab all the time, so that's why it's ranking near the bottom, but I do still like it. It's one of those palettes that I grab like a couple times in the summer, and that's about it. Okay, and then the next palette is going to be their Vienna palette. So this is their Romeo and Juliet themed palette. I adore this packaging. I don't really like the bifold, but like the artwork, love. I wish it opened normally. The reason this is ranked near the bottom is I really love one half of it. So there's the love side and the death side. The love side is red and pink, and I don't like red and pink that much. I like this dark red here, and I think these duochromes are really pretty and interesting. And this is a nice red gold shade. I have used these two more than anything else, but it's just so pinky and red, and I just don't really like those colors on myself. I like a red lip, don't really like a red eyeshadow. So that's what knocked it down, because I love this side. If this was just a 9-pan palette of these shades, this would rank near the top. I adore this side. So you've got a really beautiful, like, pale gold. It's like an antique gold, but also really pale gold, which is really unique. Really beautiful duochrome down here that's like a pink gold. Really love these dark smoky tones. I love this, and I keep it for this half. I really like this half in the winter. I love this. If this was just this half, it would definitely be in like my top 4 or 5 probably, but those reds just really knock it down for me. Okay, so next is gonna be another colorful palette. This one I love the packaging of, and it is the Monte Verde Cloud Forest one. The packaging, so pretty. This is a very green palette. This is one of the few that I've kept the box for because I love the little cutouts with the sloth. And when you slide it out, you see the animals still, but they're blended into the trees. And this is just a really, really colorful, bright palette. I'm tempted to rank it higher, but I'm not changing. It's a thought of experiment, it doesn't matter. There's no real consequences. It's staying here. Basically what this is a green palette. Like you've got green shimmer, like a taupey green, a brown green, a blue, a green, a bright green, another green, and then you've got green mattes, and then brown. And then the rest of these are like neons, and they are the best neon. I think the best neons I own. They show up, they don't disappear, they blend nicely. You don't have to just pack them and not touch them. I mean, it is best to pack them on, but these are really great neons. It's just, I actually grab the greens in here somewhat regularly throughout the year, but the neons I'm only grabbing like maybe a couple times during the summer. I just don't really want them that often, and that's why it's ranking down here. Not because it's a bad palette, I think they're great neons. I'm just not a person that wears neons very often. Okay, the next palette is gonna be the Fête de Provence palette. This came out last summer, I think. And I really like this palette. When I got it, I said this might become one of my favorites, and it is. I do really like this. They've just come out with so many good palettes. The reason this got knocked down is these pale shades up here don't really work for me. I can use them to blend out a shade, but I wouldn't use them as like a transition. I would put one of these mid-tone shades on and then use this if I need. They just don't really work for me, especially the yellow. The shimmers in here are really pretty. They're more subtle than some of their others, and I really like this purple area. What actually draws me the most is these and these. And during the summer, I grabbed this, not unregular, like, you know, I grabbed this a handful of times during the summer. I just think these are really beautiful tones. Yeah, it's just, you've got some pale shades that I don't wear very often, and we're going into the winter, it's dark and cold, and I'm just not in the mood for this right now, so that might be playing part of it. But I do really like that palette, as long as you know these are kind of subtle. Like this is a more satin shade. These are more satins, which I do like. These are pretty sparkly. And knowing that these are very pale and these are mid-tone, nothing in here is very dark, except for this. So you have to go into it knowing that, but if you like those bright to mid-tone shades, I think it's a really fun palette. I try to, when I'm ranking and when I'm just like analyzing palettes, because I do that a lot, I just sit and think about things. My friend Steven likes to send me like a handful of swatches or partial swatches or just full swatches of palettes and be like, name this palette. And I'm really good at that because I spend a lot of time thinking about palettes. I try to be like, you know, I like all of these, but I try to always give those caveats of like, if you are a darker skin person, you're not gonna like this. If you're a pale person to light medium, you might really like this. You know, makeup is so subjective. I try to really make sure I point out the good and bad of things so that you can understand what is best for you in your subjective opinion on makeup and needs for makeup. Okay, so the next palette is a really tiny one, and I almost didn't include this because it's so little. I didn't really know where to put it, but I really like it. So it's going here in the middle, and it is the Nomad Air palette. The reason it's not higher is just because it's small and doesn't have that many shades. But I think this is a really good palette. It's gonna be my go-to travel palette. You've got a light, medium, and dark brown. You've got a really beautiful smoky brown shimmer, a champagne shimmer, and a rose gold shimmer. And I think these are the best formula for shimmers they've done. The mattes are great, the shimmers are great. I think this is an amazing palette. It's just a tiny little neutral 6-pan. So like other shades, the other palettes have more variation, more things you can do, special shimmers, multi-chrome, you know. So it couldn't beat out those, but I do think this is gonna be one of my most used palettes from Nomad because it's so petite and little and the formula is just so good. So putting that there in the middle. And then the next palette is gonna be the Royal Europe palette. So I really love the packaging on this and I really like the formula, the color story, all of that. It's jewel tones and I'm just not. 2 years ago, this probably would have been near the top because I wore jewel tones all the time. I wore super like black-based multi-chromes all the time. I'm just not that person right now in my life. This part of my life is not about that. So it's just gonna rank lower because I'm just not using this all the time. If you like jewel tones and multi-chromes though, I think this is a great palette. The artwork is really pretty. These are like paper and cut out, so there's actual like texture and a 3D effect because it's layered sheets of different colors. And then you open it up and you get just a really beautiful color story. So you've got these nice warm shades here. You've got green, blue, more like purpley tones and more red tones, and then you've got multi-chromes for each. Each of these is a black-based multi-chrome, and they're beautiful. They're really nice formulas. I have zero complaints about the colors and formulas. I'm just not grabbing jewel tones very often. I have worn this shade because it's like a green gold multi-chrome. I've used this one more than the others, like these two. I'm just not grabbing for multi-chromes like that. I'm more using like sparkly iridescent shades at this point in my life. So we'll see. Maybe it'll change. Maybe in a year and a half, I'll be like, yep, really into those multi-chromes again. But 2023 me is just not into jewel tones. Okay, the next palette is going to be the America's Parks palette. I really love this. I also really like this theme. I like that it's not just a specific location. Like they had like the Shanghai palette and the Tokyo palette, and like they had very specific like city palettes. And I like some of these that are like, this one's Provence, which is a whole region. Royal Europe is a theme about travel, like the castles in Europe. And this is the national parks in the United States. And I think this is a really fun theme. Love the packaging. And I love the color story. It's kind of like a muted rainbow because you've got orange, yellow, green, purple. So you don't have a blue, although you do have a blue shimmer. and this is kind of a teal, so it does pull blue on me. And you don't have like a true red, but you have like this orangey brick red. But it's just like desaturated rainbow, which I really like. Really beautiful colors in here. This Big Bend shade here is like the purple and the brown mixed together. It's like a brown shimmer with this purple iridescent running through it. It's really beautiful. I love this, zero complaints, think it's totally worth it. I know some of these have probably been discontinued, like I don't know if this one has or not, so I apologize. I'll have Nomad linked down below, but I don't remember which ones have been I know some of these have, like the next one, and one of the other ones down here has been discontinued, and another one I think is in the middle of being discontinued, but I don't know for sure. So the next one, which is sadly discontinued, is the Haunted Europe palette. This came out last fall, and I really love this palette. One, the packaging is so cool, and I think the theme is just really cool. So this one is kind of like, I think of this as, again, 2 9-pan palettes. So you've got a fall tone palette here with brown, orange, green, and gold. Really beautiful. You've got green shimmers, orange, gold, brown. And then this side is the wintry, cool tone side. So you've got like a dried blood shade, a blue, a kind of a burnt orange, this mauve taupe, and then these like purpley magenta shades, and this really cool like blue gray shimmer. I just think this is a really beautiful palette, and I think this was really hyped and really well received, and I understand. I think this is a really great palette, and I know some people it's their favorite. So there's just others I think it used to rank a little bit higher, but there's some other ones that have kind of taken its place. Okay, so next we have the Whistler Snow Lodge palettes. This came out last winter, so it's December, so not January 2023, but January 2022. It was like around then. And I thought it was funny because it came right before I went on a trip to Canada. I didn't go to Whistler, I went to Vancouver, which I've been to Vancouver a lot, mostly as a child. And we were meeting friends when we lived in New York, we were meeting some New York friends who were going to Whistler. And then they were like, we're going to Whistler for a few days, and then we'll go to Vancouver for a couple days, come stay with us and hang out. And so I took this with me and used it there, and I just love this. I really like this color story. So you've got a brick red and a black shade over here. You've got 2 blue mattes right here. And then you've got greens. I really love this dark green, and then a mid-tone brown, and then really beautiful shimmers. This a moussed shade is a really pretty brown, bronzy shade. I just really like that kind of shade. And then Ski Bum is this really beautiful duochrome that's blue to like a pinky purple. You've got an iridescent like highlight shade right here that's like an iridescent pink. I just think this is a really well thought out color story, really beautiful. You can go blue, green, neutral, red. You can do all kinds of stuff. I think this is one of those that you can do a little bit of everything with, and I really appreciate that. Okay, so the next palette used to be my number 1, but has sadly been dethroned and is being discontinued. And it is the Iceland palette. So this is the Land of Fire and Ice. This was the first palette I bought from Nomad. This is the first one. I had been watching them for a while, and then I bought this one and I fell in love with it. And then this is what made me and the owner start talking. And so this holds a special place in my heart for that and the color story, but there's just others that I've been grabbing more the last year, so they are gonna outrank it. I love the little gnome right here. I have a thing for gnomes. I don't know if you can tell, but we have a couple of gnomes already out for Christmas, and we have a lot of gnome themed Christmas stuff. And the inside is just so pretty. I love that it's like the icy front, fiery inside. I don't really use the fiery shades. I like this red shimmer, but I don't really use these orange. But you've got really beautiful blue tones, and they're really unique undertones. I really like this Elves shade. It's a really interesting blue shimmer. I really love this Colin with this Gallows Lava, like greeny, like muted earthy green Really love that. And then these three are all like iridescent-y duochromes that I really like. So I love this palette. I'm sad to see it's going away, but I'm hoping that anybody who wanted it got it before it went away or got it cheap before it went away, because I love this. I think it's really well done. And I know some palettes, they have to be retired eventually, you know, because the demand's not there, but it makes me sad that it's discontinued. Okay, so top 4. Really curious what you think the top 4 will be. If you've been around my channel for a while, let me know if you are right or wrong with the guesses. But the next one is gonna be the Safari palette. This is the Okavango Safari palette. This one I keep in the box because it's felt and also I like the box. I really love this palette. I love the theme, I love the color story. I think the palette is beautiful. This is really special. It's their first like almost neutral palette really. It's like neutrals but elevated. And I just love it. The reason this gets knocked down a little bit is some of these shades are not the most impactful shimmers. So basically the lion, the crocodile, and the zebra shades, they're just really firmly pressed, so they're hard to use and they don't give as much impact. But I love that you have a warm neutral row, light, medium, dark, cool neutrals, kind of the same light, medium, dark. You've got a really beautiful brown metallic that I just really like. You've got this kind of greeny brown metallic duochrome right here. You've got a green row where you've got like true green, lime green, olive. So you can have it be like an olivey neutral palette. You can have it be, or look, you can have it be more green. You can have it be more like rose gold. You can really do a lot with this. I think this is a really wonderful palette. And it almost was higher, but the shimmers and colors and the other ones just pushed them a little bit higher. I thought this was gonna be number 1. No, I thought it was gonna be number 2. And then number 3 is going to be the Orient Express palette. So this was discontinued recently. I have not used, this is the one palette I don't have a video on because I didn't have a channel when this was out. I got this later. But I really love this. This is another one that's kind of felt. So I love the outer box and the inner box, how they're different, but it's also felt and I don't want it to get gross, so I keep it in the box. I think it's beautiful. It fits the theme of the train. I also really love that it has the route of the train route on here. So you have it go, so it says London, Paris, Venice, Istanbul. So you have the little line going between the cities of where it went. And again, it's a neutral with pops of color, which is just something I really like. People mock a neutral with a pop, but I really like them. I've grown to really love them. So you've got a bunch of neutral shades. You can go a little more, like these are true neutral here. These are a little more pinky neutral over here, like mauve taupe. And then you've got green, a red, and blue mattes, and a yellow. And then you've got really beautiful shimmers. So you've got a really beautiful bronze brown, this really beautiful sparkly green shifty shade, really beautiful like satin green, because I like satin sometimes, pretty gold. I just think this is a really well done palette and I'm very happy that I finally got it. I lusted after this for a long time before I finally got it. Okay, so number 2, top 2, let me know if you guess what they are or what you think they are in the comments. Number 2 is gonna be the new Ghost Town palette. So this is kind of, I would say this is a spiritual successor to the Haunted Europe palette. So it's Ghost Town USA. It's another big one, and it's just muted colors in the best way possible. So you have it's kind of like 3 6-pan palettes. So you've got a neutral 6-pan, a bluish, but like gray muted blue, and then a green. You've got green shimmers. This smoky quartz shade is really beautiful and unique. Garnet Montana is also a really unique shade for my collection. The shimmers in here are just beautiful. I like that it's very muted and saturated, and the shimmers in here I think are the best shimmers they've done. They're smooth, they're sparkly, they're opaque, they work well. I think top-notch shimmers, beautiful color story. Really, really love this palette. And then the last palette
my number one, it's gonna be the Hudson Valley. So if you don't know, I mentioned this before, but I lived in Brooklyn, and I've lived in Connecticut. So the Northeast is very much feels like home to me. I miss it a lot. And this just perfectly captures the vibe of fall in the Northeast. I really like the Hudson Valley. I've been there quite a few times. My friends that live there, I love the apples and the trees. And then it's just my favorite color story they've done. You've got these muted neutrals that you can ground things with. You've got these green tones, red tones, and then like the more orangey shades. So you've got the traditional like fall leaf colors here. Then you've got the earthy tones here. So it's like the fall leaves and then like the moss and the rocks. So it's like fully complete nature, I hate fall palettes that are just that. I want this like earthy, mossy lichen aspect to it as well. And there's only 3 shimmers here, but they're really pretty and I think they work really well. Plus you can pair them with whatever. And I love this palette so much. It just like makes me miss home a lot. So that is my ranking. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you guess my top ones correctly? How would you rank these? Do you have any of these? What are your thoughts on them? I love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, it really helps, and I'll see you in my next video.